today, as we all know, is give, get, grow. Now I have to admit, when I started to put pen to paper, to put down my thoughts, it was beginning to sound a lot like the speech Joey wrote for Monica and Chandler's wedding. Do you guys know that? I think it went something like, theirs is a love about giving and receiving, as well as having and sharing. And the love that you give and have is shared and received. Jokes aside, there's so much that can be said on the topic. So I decided I'm going to talk about two things today. Number one, how the right balance between giving and getting can lead to personal and professional growth. And number two, how you don't necessarily always get from where you give. And I'm going to try and explain this with a story, an ordinary story. But first I have a question for all of you. How many of you feel or have ever felt like you've given a lot to people or projects, but you've not got enough in return? With a raise of hands. Thank you for being honest, that's more than half the room.
Half the room.
So I'm sure there's a story behind each one of those hands that were raised. I have one too. And I think each one of you will find a version of your story within this, I hope. Before I tell you the story though, I think you need to know a little more of what I do. So I'm Krusha. I'm a multi-passionate professional. In simple terms, that means I like doing many things. So what do? I work at Sociable as the Director of Asia. I am a certified career and life coach for women, a LinkedIn top voice, a published author, and the title I love most, mother to a 17-month-old. Thank you. Getting to the story, I think we've skipped too far ahead, so let's go back, all the way back to school. I think even in childhood, like all of you, I was asked the question too, who do you want to become when you grow up? And surprisingly, I didn't have the answer of doctor, astronaut, pilot, actress, maybe sometimes, but most of the times my answer was writer. Now the thing is, no one took me seriously. And if I'm being honest, I didn't take it seriously either. Don't get me wrong, this is not a sob story. I think I believed that I was good at writing and that I would write. I just didn't see it as a career. And I knew why. It was because while I was very interested in writing, there was something else also that I was very interested in. You want to guess what? Paying my own bills. And as a 90s kid, I just didn't see writers being able to do that as easily as they do today. And so that was that. But I did keep my promise. I was, in fact, always writing. If I go all the way back to school, yes, my audience was small that time. My personal diary was only read by me. And if we are being real, my mom as well. Yes, mom, I knew. Those lock and keys never worked. I would also draft messages on behalf of my friends to their crushes. It was a very niche audience. But honestly, I took part in everything I could. I was drafting debate speeches, I was writing poems, short stories, submitting to the school magazine, and this continued in college as well, like you guys. I was in every literary club, I was taking part in every competition there was. Even when I got, well, a real job on the side, I was still submitting articles to blogs, websites, and every time I got an acceptance, it really gave me a kick. Even within my jobs, honestly, I took great pride in drafting a good email and in drafting a good event brief and everything else that came with writing in the tasks of my job. When Instagram came, very original, like every writer, I created a page as well. And 2 years, I posted there almost every single day. Now, it was doing really well. It got about a 7K community at that point. And then Reels came, thank you very much, that all of you I'm sure are scrolling, and that was the reason my page stopped growing because it went from video to text and I just didn't adapt honestly. However, the motivation I got from giving to Instagram at that point and just creating a small community, getting some positive comments, made me want to keep giving to writing. And so I did. I found every competition that existed online, and I took part in a lot of them, and I won a few of them, which is actually what led to the Penguin and Harper stories that you heard of. I remember I even participated in a competition by Amazon, where I wrote not just a short story, but a novella, like a little less than 100 pages. I didn't win that. But I got a lot of good reviews from the writing community, which really helped validating the fact that I could write. Now, what happened then was I also wrote for Pink Thread. It was something that I created, an initiative, a company, whatever you'd like to call it, where I would tell stories of women in corporate India. This was again a cause that I loved giving to. I was always very passionate about it. So I would talk to these women, write their stories, put it on the website, and again, it got a lot of traction for the first year, after which it started to trickle down. But I was still writing. I wrote a whole book. Yes, a whole fiction, contemporary fiction book, maybe 250 pages or so. And this was when I also started writing on LinkedIn. I was posting there 5 days a week. This is still something I do, by the way. So let's pause at this point and see what did the balance look like here, right? I had given a lot of hours and energy to writing. What had it given me back so far? Quite a few things. Believe it or not, at 20, I got my first promotion really early just because I wrote really good emails that actually ended up causing real impact in the organization. I got the LinkedIn Top Voice badge quite quickly on LinkedIn, which really helped my journey there. I got organic leads because of that content creation for my coaching business. I got a publisher for my book, actually got published traditionally. So there's a lot that started to happen. But if you looked really closely, the balance was still off. And it took me a while to realize that the balance was off. And as a coach, I did a lot of soul-searching work to wonder why. And you know what the answer was? I wasn't ready to get at the same level I was ready to give. And I know this sounds preachy or not real, but it's true, and I'll explain to you how with exactly the same examples we went through. Now let's talk about Instagram. I told you it was doing a little well, but when I got brand collaboration emails, I didn't even reply because I thought there's maybe spam sent to multiple people at a time. And I'm never going to know if that's real because I just didn't respond. When it came to LinkedIn collaborations, I again didn't take them on. I took those seriously, but I thought it would malign my brand on LinkedIn, and I didn't know how to marry the two. Pink Thread, I said it stopped working because of direction, but actually we did get corporate inquiries to make that impact I wanted to with women, but I didn't see exactly how I could align it with my day job, which I always prioritize, and so I just let it go. My coaching, I got clients initially, but I wasn't charging them what I should have because I just felt like maybe I didn't have as many years of experience in that field, despite the fact that I was getting the results. Even when I connected, when certain CEOs connected with me on LinkedIn, I didn't write to them about Sociable and try to make a sale because I thought that why would they respond to me? So there was a lot that showed that I just wasn't ready to get at the same level. And so I did the work as a coach and tried to fix this balance. And here's what happened. I closed the Pink Thread. Now I know that doesn't sound like a win, but it was. It had served its purpose in its giving, and I wasn't able to authentically give it anymore because I wasn't getting anything anymore from there. And I could put that time and energy in others to give. I started charging my coaching clients what I deserved, and that got me more clients who could see the results, and I could create the greater impact I wanted to. I started talking proactively to people on LinkedIn for Sociable. It resulted in amazing partnerships that I'm proud of today. It resulted in great hires and so much more that has happened over these last few years. Even my book, I had never even spoken about it or marketed it because I thought it wasn't the big four publishers, so it's not worth doing that. But now I have someone who got exclusive rights for book to screen for my book, and even if nothing happens there, it is a win that I could put myself out there. So why is this important? The thing is, if we don't fix this balance, at some point you're going to stop going. And the only way to grow is to keep going, for which you need motivation. So think of it as a seesaw. If the balance is off, then maybe you're sitting on that seesaw and it's only down, and you might like being in the park and might like being on the seesaw, but at some point you're going to get off because it's not fun anymore. So if you want to keep it fun, you have to make sure the balance is aligned a little bit. So that was the first point I wanted to drive. Which brings me to my second. If you look at the story closely, you'll also realize I didn't necessarily get from the same place I gave to. I gave selflessly to Instagram for 2 years. But it wasn't a waste. While I didn't get from Instagram, I got from LinkedIn, because of my learnings from Instagram that taught me the discipline to churn out content every day, to the extent that it's just a part of who I am now. Or if we talk about even in sales, when I've been at Sociable, sometimes we give months to a sale and it falls through, right? But then a little later, you sign another deal that goes a lot faster, and it's almost like you're being rewarded for the work you put into the previous deal. Even Pink Thread. On paper, it may sound like it's something that didn't work. But I think my coaching business grew so fast and I got so much from it because of what I gave to the Pink Thread and understanding real stories of women, even before I knew that I was going to build a coaching business. Right? So you might not always get from where you give. So let me leave you with this. It's very important. So I'm going to open a piece of paper. Life is all about giving to finally getting and growing, because when you give, you will ultimately get and grow, and there is nothing better. I'm not going to go through with it. It was just a recall to my joke. But let me leave you with this actually. Take a second. Think about an area in your life right now, okay? All of you have one, I'm sure, where you feel you are not growing enough. Yeah? Does everyone have something in their mind right now? An area? Great. Ask yourself these 3 questions related to this area. Okay? Number 1, are you giving enough to this? Number 2, are you giving in the right place? And number 3, are you ready to receive there? When you have your answer, you can now build a solid action plan to bridge that gap. Thank you.